Hi again, it's Matt here with State of Flux to give you my Week 2 challenge from this book here, Everyone's a Critic, the 52-week movie challenge. Week 2's challenge was a classic movie, and I chose the most classic movie of them all, according to Google. I googled classic movie, and I decided to commit to whatever the number one choice was. And what was that number one choice? Let's all say it together. 3, 2, 1, Casablanca. Was it going to be any other movie? So yes, I chose to watch Casablanca. I have a couple of questions here. I did not review the questions ahead of time, so these are going to be fresh thoughts from my wee little mind. Alright, first things first, it gives you some of the breakdown. This stuff I did write down ahead of time. Movie title is Casablanca. The year of release was 1942. The aspect ratio is 1:371. Running time 1 hour and 42 minutes. Genre romance and drama. Rated, it had no rating upon its original release, but has been since rated PG. Starring Humphrey Bogart, Ingrid Bergman, Paul Henreid, Claude Rains, and Peter Lorre. Directed by Michael Curtiz. Produced by Warner Brothers. Written by Julius J. Epstein, Philip G. Epstein, and Howard Koch, I think? Or Koch? I'm gonna go with Koch. Music by Max Steiner, and the awards received were the Oscars for Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Screenplay. Shockingly, no acting performances or the music got recognized, which is incredibly strange because Warner Brothers, even to this day, still uses the As Time Goes By theme, tinkling over their WB credit at the beginning of almost all of their movies. Alright, why did I choose this particular film? I googled it. That's why. I gave you that answer before, so happy birthday. Have I seen this movie before? Yes. Yes, I have. I watched this movie in high school, and I actually haven't seen it since high school. I liked it a lot when I first watched it, and I admired the quality of the film immediately, but I, for whatever reason, just never turned back to it. And even during like my film school kind of years, taking many classes about film, we never once watched Casablanca, which you'd think would be at the heart of every curriculum, but it wasn't for me, which is kind of weird. So coming back to it now, I was shocked at how much I remembered from the movie, and how much stuck with me. It kind of lived that vividly in my mind. Would I recommend this film? Why or why not? Yes, absolutely yes. This is a fantastic movie. It is super good. Just as a movie in general. But as a piece of pop culture, there is so much of this movie that has eclipsed pop culture and just become culture. So much so that like just tiny little lines, the like stretch of influence this film has is remarkable. Throwaway lines like "Round up the usual suspects" became the name of a very famous movie by a director whom shall be nameless. But there's the influence that this movie has in like scene recreations. Some are incredibly obvious and on the nose, and some are like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has a segment of that movie that recreates moments from this one. Degrassi, The Next Generation, does quotes from this movie and whatnot. Like just so much of it pops up where you would not expect it. But also how much it influences other movies that like are in the sphere of popularity. The visual language of this movie definitely inspired Steven Spielberg. If you watch this movie and this movie alone, you can see the groundwork of how Spielberg will shoot an entire feature film. The opening of this scene, or of this film, feels tonally like singular with Raiders of the Lost Ark, and many of the scenes that take place in that film when he first starts his quest for the Ark. Visually, the two look identical. But there's many moments throughout the film that you can see visually quoted in other Spielberg films. So just like its stretch of influence is so profound that I feel like this is a must-see for everybody. Even if you don't necessarily respond well to it immediately, I think you will ultimately have respect for it. And that final scene, the final like 15 minutes, are so fantastic. It's pretty great. The only criticism I guess I would really levy at the film is the first 7 minutes or so are a little scattered and not necessarily captivating, but the moment that Rick Blaine, Humphrey Bogart's character, gets introduced, the movie just zips, and it is a strong feature throughout the entire rest of the runtime, and it moves so fast. And it's not like it's a movie where there's a lot happening at any given time, not really at all, yet you kind of flow with the film because it's so expertly crafted. Alright, which character were you most able to identify with or connect with in this film? Why and in what way? Well, I guess I would have to go with the Rick Blaine character just because the most emphasis is put on his character. But the reason I kind of latched onto him, and this is not something that I would have identified necessarily in high school, but his film, or his character, influenced very obviously, I feel like, my favorite movie, which is Serenity. The character of Malcolm Reynolds seems to be just a modern adaptation of the Rick Blaine character. He's a person who's committed to remaining neutral and under the radar of either side of a fight. He just wants to live on, exist in his own way, run his business the way he wants to run it, and there's this girl that is very closely tied in with his life. And the Malcolm and Nara is very, very similar to the relationship between the two leads in this film. And so my favorite movie when I first saw this still would have been about 3 years from hitting theaters. Like, the TV show Firefly existed and I would have seen that, but I would never put two and two together that this is very, very inspirational to Serenity. And it makes me want to rewatch that movie very badly now, having rewatched this, how similarly these characters kind of line up and are obvious inspirations for. Best line or most memorable quote? There's many. This movie is layered with quotes all over the place, but we'll always have Paris really strung that poignant string. Were you surprised by the ending? Initially, yes. When I first saw the movie, I was surprised. I didn't know necessarily how it was going to end. You're used to watching the guy kind of get the girl at the end, and I kind of love that he gets the girl by not getting the girl. That's kind of a beautiful conclusion. What would I have done differently? Absolutely nothing. The best part of this movie is its final scenes. So yeah, it's pristine. What elements of this film do you feel have helped it become a movie classic? Even though it's set in a very specific time period, it has a timeless quality because the themes of the film read strong throughout. The romantic themes, the theme of denying the action that you're being called into and then rising to the occasion is something that is of timeless value. The fact that it is so influential in any of the things that I mentioned before, from something as dopey as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Degrassi The Next Generation to like Woody Allen's screenplays in Play It Again, Sam, and the fact that this is still the signature sting of the Warner Brothers logo. Last year's lamentable Space Jam legacy even dropped a scene from this movie in that one. Its legacy will live forever. And because of that, it is an inarguable classic. Can you name any modern films that have some of these same elements? I just named several. Ever so many were named. Anything else I'd like to add? Not necessarily. This film is just kind of fantastic. I urge you to watch it. It's about a man's struggle to remain neutral in a world that keeps calling him to action, and he dismisses the call until the girl from his past gets swung back into his life, and where that takes him. I guess I will say that this movie was remade in, I think it was 1995, starring Pamela Anderson in a comic book adaptation called Barbed Wire. And that makes for an interesting double feature, if ever there was one. So check out Casablanca if you haven't seen it, and then immediately slide right into Barbed Wire, and then, because you will need a pick-me-up, check out Serenity, 2005 Serenity starring Nathan Fillion, not the 2019 Serenity starring Matthew McConaughey. That is not a great movie. But anyway, thanks for watching. Next week, we are doing a low-budget, big box office film. So I'm going to research that and try to come up with something fun for that one. Thanks for watching. Have you watched this movie? Drop in the comments below what your thoughts were on it, or why you have a reluctance to see it. It's beautifully photographed in black and white, and the rich black and white color distinction, I think, really helps elevate the film. That's the last comment I'm going to make. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, ding the bell. Peace.